Welcome to Living Legacy Leadership, where we explore, discover, and share insights, tools, and strategies for a life well lived into elderhood. I'm your host, Donna Kim Brand, author, speaker, legacy strategy coach, and creator of the concept Living Legacy, where you choose to live life on your own terms while contributing to people, places, and projects along your life journey. I believe that the life you live is the legacy you leave. Now, the guests I bring to you each week all address some unique aspect of learning, leadership, or legacy. This helps you raise your own game as a leader in business and life, and also showcases some extraordinary people who exemplify living legacy leadership. At least once a month, I also offer a training session to skill you in game-changer thinking for your own application. So get your notebook ready or sharpen up your memory by tuning in your attention, and we'll dive right in. Now, we have with us today a very special gentleman, Steve Lawing. He's lived most of his life in his hometown of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and he has a history of honing negotiation skills, which are the primary reasons for his successful sales career. As he attended UNC, University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and then took off to Colorado to act as a musician. I want to hear about that before we get into the real estate. Now, he was also the former owner of a store named Elizabeth at Haynes Park, which was an upscale antique shop, and he spent over a decade visiting the homes of clients and providing the perfect pieces to complement them. So real estate was actually a natural progression, as Steve learned that people often changed homes more frequently than the furnishings they had within the homes. Now, in his spare time, Steve is a board member of Habitat for Humanity. He's involved in his church, revitalization of Winston-Salem. He's also a fly fisherman. I've seen him in action doing this. Bicycling, plays guitar, and sings in the Winston-Salem Pops Chorus, which I believe was just recently had a production this past weekend. So if you're looking for a realtor with not only incredible knowledge of the area, but someone who will listen to your needs and provide results, well, Steve's your guy. So as one of his clients said, during the time we worked together, Steve would facilitate the people around him in a way that was admirable. He had his eye on the ball, knew what he wanted to get, and nudged everyone along to make it happen. Steve's knowledge, integrity, creativity, and above all, the results he produced were such that I wish I had worked with him longer to learn his techniques. All in all, I'd recommend Steve for anyone to work with. So, with that high honor and praise, welcome Steve Lawing.
And it's nice talking to you, Donna.
Well, thank you. So, as I mentioned, I saw there in the bio that you'd spent some time in Colorado in a music career. Tell us about that.
I did. It was pretty much just sowing wild oats as a younger man. after leaving school, loving the West, wanting to ski, it was great. I tended bar and I played guitar and sang at the Honky Tonks up in Central City, Colorado, before it became it was a gold mining town then, and it became a casino town later. But that was where I spent a lot of 4 of my formative years, and came back to Winston-Salem and started my family.
Interesting. Okay. Well, yeah. So I know you're still singing. You were just in this production this past weekend. What was that about?
The Unitarian Fellowship in Winston-Salem has we did our first attempt at a virtual coffee house. And it was kind of interesting. They said, we want you to do a Zoom meeting and do a coffee house where you and someone play some tunes. And we decided to do protest tunes of the 60s and 70s. And we did several of those with commentary. But we took it a little step further, incorporated some of the people that I knew to get a little more technology than just sitting in front of a computer and doing a little Zoom meeting like that. We had mixers and microphones and cameras and things of that nature. And because we had the entire facility of the Unitarian Fellowship, we were able to socially distance quite well. So singing is a little bit of a challenge because just the physics of singing, you project and you the cloud goes out. So you have to have
that's true.
Good, you have to have pretty good cognizant of it. It's I hate it because the choir that I sang in for so long and that I thoroughly enjoyed, we just can't get together right now. The COVID has really changed the dynamics of many things in my life, as well as many people.
Yes, for sure. Now, since you brought it up, at the time of this recording, of course, we're several months into the COVID-19 pandemic, and a lot of regions around the country are really suffering in terms of real estate sales. The properties are just sitting there for any number of reasons. But I understand your area, or at least your clientele, is just hopping. So what do you think is going on to make Winston-Salem and your client base so active in the real estate market? Give us a kind of a picture of what's going on there.
Well, there's several things that attribute to my area, and I can't speak to other areas of the country because I'm too busy to read about other areas of the country. But my area in particular, Winston-Salem, the real estate values have not inflated unrealistically over the last several years. It's a town that is wonderful to retire to. There's arts, entertainment, the culture, everything that you normally get to enjoy in regular times. It's all here, and it does not have the trappings of larger cities. You don't have traffic jams. You don't have rush hour. Is almost a joke. People that come here from New York or California, they go, "Really? This is rush hour?" But it's a great place to buy. For instance, my daughter just moved here from California, moved back here, and the home that she moved into, which is one that I still own, I've owned it for many years. The house in Winston-Salem would be $180,000, $190,000 house. She said that this house in California, and she was in real estate in California, would be $500,000 to $600,000. So the value that you can obtain here is incredible. That coupled with the fact that many people, I obviously am dealing with people that are gainfully employed. You don't look for houses unless you are, or you have a stash of cash. People have realized that they're going to be working from home now. This COVID thing has changed things, and it's not all a negative thing. It's actually quite positive for some. Companies have realized that brick and mortar is not necessary, and that their employees can function quite well from the comfort of their home, in their bedroom slippers or whatever, and accomplish the same things at a much reduced cost of overhead. So these people that are starting to work from home are realizing that the home that they have, that they pretty much just came home, watched a little TV, ate dinner, went to sleep in, got up, went to the office, it's not enough. So you have a big push of people that are saying, I need a new space. The advent of the low interest rates and everything that are going on, you can get a loan for 2.5% right now, or and in some cases even less. It's almost like free money. That coupled with folks needing a space that they can stretch out, live in, work in, and everything has created an incredibly high demand for homes. At the same time, the spring that we've just come through and summer are usually our boom times when people list, because it's the time. But folks have been so reticent to list for any number of reasons. We've had a very, very large decrease in inventory. So you have a lot of people fighting for the same property. And it's an interesting concept. It's not what I've been used to in my career as a realtor.
So are you finding then that, that people are, like you're saying, if there's a lesser supply and higher demand, so what's that doing to the prices and negotiating and all of that?
Well, I used to pride myself in being a great negotiator and being able to look at something and read what we might be able to buy a place for, look at mortgages and things of that nature and say, hey, they paid this for it, they got that. We could probably go in and do this. Now, that has changed. A negotiation now is more based on getting a house under contract. That is a realtor's ability at this juncture, which is all new to me. When I'm used to going in and negotiating for money, it's now negotiating how much over list do we have to pay.
Wow.
And that's where we are right now. I'm both a listing agent and a buyer's agent in normal times, but presently I'm very selective about my buyers. And the reason for that is people just don't understand the market if they're not in the market. Once you're in it, you know it. For me to take on a buyer, they have to understand several things up front before I will show them the first house. And those things are, if you're a cash buyer, I'm going to need an affidavit that you have enough money to buy the house that you say you want to buy from your bank or lending institution or whomever it is. I have to have an affidavit. Your word is no good.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a buyer, I need a letter of pre-qualification from a bank that says that you are qualified to buy up to X amount of money. You're qualified to buy this. Or it's like going to a poker game with an IOU. It doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And so if you don't have those items in line, there's no sense to even start looking, because if you find a house that fits your needs, you're not going to get it until you have those items in line. When you say, I want to make an offer, everything has to be in order and ready to go. So you need to come to this game with understanding that you don't have time to sit around and say, well, let me think about that. You need to have already thought about it. It's just a different time. And it's actually not that I recommend for everyone. But if you want the house, this is what you have to do to buy a house now.
Wow. So what about there's a phase of house buying that I always used to like was, unless you already knew specifically because you're an avid HGTV watcher because you've been stuck at home for so long, or you really know what you want, part of the game of real estate is visiting different types of homes to see what you do want and then hone in on something. But is that also part of what you help them see before you spend all that time taking them around? Do you have them have their ducks in order financially at least? And then, as much as they can, the specifications of what they think they're looking for, because very often it isn't what they end up with.
Well, COVID has changed things immensely as far as that's concerned, too. You don't haul people around and just go wantonly looking in houses. They are able to virtually see homes and really look, and I work with them to say, if you want to see a home, I want you to study this online. And they often clients will come to me and say, I found this home online.